Hey everyone, it is AJ Brown again with Trading Trainer, and I want to welcome you to another one of the What's on AJ's Mind type discussions. Today it's about mastery versus dabbling, specifically with respect to investing and what newbie investors, why they might never make it to success. They wind up getting, by no fault of their own, they wind up becoming jack of all and master of none. So let's dive into my little thoughts here. Here are some truths I've got for you. Number one, there's been a lot of advancing technology, especially over the most recent years with artificial intelligence and all of this good stuff. And it gives us the ability to offer people accelerator tools like screeners that can go through all sorts of ticker symbols and find the best symbols for us to invest in, and planners and all these great technology, okay? And accelerator tools, they simplify the steps and the processes that go into investing. But here's the dirty truth, because nothing comes for free, and that is accelerator tools introduce new challenges. Namely, they have to be managed, they have to be maintained, and you have to know how to use them. And that's a whole new thing altogether. In fact, there's no getting away from needing to know what is going on. And there's been a lot of services that I've seen out there over the years, and I've been doing this since 2003, that have come and gone promising to give people picks and tools and screeners and things that should make it ideally super easy for them to become investors. And truth be told, those companies fold quickly, and a lot of the folks who buy into these thoughts that it's that easy to invest, well, they wind up losing quite a lot. And so, mastery or dabbling. So by definition, an investor is someone that uses their money to make money. And being an investor that makes better than average returns, it's not easy. If it were, everyone would do it. And if it was easy to become one, like if it was as easy as buying a book at Barnes & Noble or off of Amazon, then everybody would go buy that book and they would all be rich. And that's not the truth, right? Investing is not easy. And most beginning investors really get caught into dabbling. There's a lot of hype out there. There's a lot of headlines that tell you you're going to be rich. And it causes investors, not by any fault of their own, to really jump from course to course, instructor to instructor, coach to coach, a lot of dabbling. And a lot of times they wind up with experiences that aren't successful, and it causes them to end their investing journey early without success. The successful investors I know, not just from my own story, but all the successful investors I've met, that I've taught, they have one thing in common, and that is they focus and they master, right? It's a skill, and I want to make sure you understand that, right? Learning a skill requires your time, it requires your focus, and it requires your energy. In fact, somebody told me, one of my teachers from grade school said, where your focus goes, your energy flows, and your results will show. And that's true here as well. You're going to have to spend some time, and you're going to have to focus, and that is going to require a lot of your energy to become an investor. It's a skill. I wish it was as easy as you taking a pill, or me flicking a switch on my wall, or me being able to sell you a book that would make you into an investor, but it's not so. In fact, learning a skill is really the process of going from being unconsciously incompetent about something. In other words, you didn't even know that existed, that there was something out there like option trading or any sort of trading for that matter. Unconscious incompetence, and learning that skill means going to a step of being consciously incompetent, because now you know about it, but you know you're no good at it, to being consciously competent about it, and that's usually through getting some knowledge about it and being able to do it consciously with a lot of focus to ultimately, and this is the ultimate goal, and that's to be unconsciously competent at being an investor or any skill you're taking on. This is actually generic ideas, but it works specifically for investing, right? And ultimately, you'll become an unconsciously competent investor. Think about some of the other examples, right? I was watching a toddler the other day. They were just learning how to tie their shoes. Now, probably you and I are very good at tying our shoes, so much so we can whip out the knot very quickly, and indeed, we don't even think about it. When was the last time you remember tying your shoes? Obviously, your shoes are tied, and you do it very quickly, but you're unconsciously competent at doing that. Another example might be driving an automobile. Now, I'm sure we can all, if we think back hard enough, remember when we learned to drive, and it wasn't so easy, right? First, we had all this knowledge, and we probably memorized some mnemonics. I remember memorizing that you put your seatbelt on, and then you made sure that the fuel tank was good, and you made sure that the ignition was in good, and the transmission was in neutral, and you pull out the choke. And I might be dating myself with some of these references, but you get the idea. We went through all these, step-by-step checklists, and now not only do you probably get in the car and go from point A to point B, but a lot of times, fast forward a week or so from when you did that, and you probably don't even remember the journey, because a lot of times we become unconsciously competent at something so complex as driving a multi-ton vehicle down the highway at 80 miles per hour and getting from point A to point B. That is not an easy task, but we've done it. We've mastered it. We're craftsmen at that skill, and therefore we don't even think about it. We're unconsciously competent. Whether it's learning a sport that you've never done, like a physical activity. On the side, I like to teach scuba diving. And scuba diving, I mean, how much foreign can that be for somebody to all of a sudden be in a whole different medium? Instead of air, you're in water. Instead of being upright, you're horizontal. Instead of propelling yourself through motion this way, you have to propel yourself with motion this way. And instead of breathing through your nose, you breathe through your mouth. So people don't become a scuba diver just overnight. Anything like that. Even learning a new card game. Think of it. It's all a skill. It's not something that you learn right from the get-go when you decide to learn it, right? Now, there's a couple of best ways to learn. The best way to learn, and this is through many scientific studies, is of course trial and error, where we fail forward. Trust me, in investing, I have failed so many times. I failed enough for you and you and you. All of the folks out there, I have made a lot of mistakes. And I've learned from those mistakes, right? The key is never make a mistake twice, right? The next best way to learn is through something called guided discovery. And that's where you find somebody who's already gone the travels you want to go, and you learn from their mistakes, so you shortcut the point from point A to point B. And that's a very fast way to learn, and it's just as good as trial and error, and it takes less time. And another thing to think about, and I'm showing you here it's called the cone of learning, and it came from the Dale group in 1969, but it still is very much today, and it's how you learn. And it is a study that was done, and you can see here that after 2 weeks from each mode of learning, from the bottom, reading, all the way to the top of doing the real thing, how much of it we retain, how much we remember after 2 weeks. And you can also see the nature of the involvement, whereas reading, hearing somebody speak, watching it in a demonstration, that's very passive. Whereas when you get involved and you actually do the task, or you simulate doing the task, like in investing when we paper trade, which is just as good as doing the real thing, doing a dramatic presentation, all of that's active is going to ingrain it faster. Remember learning how to drive? You didn't learn from that little book that you brought into the DMV. Instead, you learned by getting behind the wheel and running over some curbs, right? So doing the real thing, and doing that in a way where you've got somebody next to you who's made the mistakes and stops you from making those mistakes, is going to be your fastest way to learn. And I just want to bring it up just very quickly, whether it's trading trainer or whether it's some other sort of discipline, whether you're going to trade, we focus on teaching equity index ETF option trading, but you might be interested in foreign exchange currencies. You might be interested in trading stocks or commodities only. You might be interested in trading baseball cards. My thought for you is that you really focus on mastering that thing that you're going to learn. And in our Trading Trainer coaching package that we've been running since 2006, this is where we put our coaches in with you. We actually take all the best of all these learning mechanisms. Let me explain it. Formal sessions, this is where most trading coaching packages stop, is with formal sessions. In formal sessions, this is where a coach is actually meeting with you once a week, twice a week, at your discretion, on your schedule, and they're working with you through material. This is a great way to go from conscious incompetence to conscious competence, is through formal sessions. And that's what many coaching packages you buy from different types of trading outfits, trading education outfits do for you. But we like to also give you a resource line. So we give you a line where you can call this number at any time, and the first question you're asked is, do you want to speak to your coach, or do you want to speak to the first available coach? And this is good for if you have that question in the middle of the night, or if you're about to do a trade or a paper trade and you need some guidance right then. And so we make the resource line available to all our students to get involved with one-on-one, a actual coach on the phone, on a screen sharing session at a moment's notice. And last but not least, and I think this is one of the most important pieces, is the moderated group. The moderated group I have not seen any other type of trading education outfit do. This is where, after you've done your formal sessions, where we've gotten you from conscious incompetence to conscious competence, we're now going to trade with you with 2 or 3 other people. Think of it as when you're driving a car, learning how to drive a car. My experience was I had myself in the driving behind the wheel. I had my coach next to me. He was doing guided discovery, making sure that I didn't make all the mistakes he had made over the years. And then there was 2 others in the back seat who were observing and paying attention to me learning how to drive. And then after a couple of miles, we pulled over the car and I got in the back seat and I got to observe as another person was learning how to drive with the coach next to them. And I got to ask questions. I got to hear questions from the other folks that I didn't even know I had, and get the answers from the person who had the experience. That's what our moderated group is. Every Sunday through Thursday, we meet with you about your plans that you're going to do the next trading day. You get to hear the plans from the other 2 or 3 folks that are in your program. You get them scrutinized by one of the trading trainer coaches that's on our staff, and they will help to understand exactly what you're going to do the next day. They'll stop you from making mistakes. You'll get ideas from everybody else. You'll get support when you have a really good trade. You'll get support when you have a bad trade, accountability to make sure that you're going to be putting into practice the steps. And we do that for 6 months straight. Talk about taking all those modalities we've been talking about and making you into the master that you should be at this, right? This is the fastest way. If there was a better way where we could download you into the matrix, this would be it, right? This is the fastest way you can become a master of anything, is to have a combination of accountability, a combination of support, and having people actually have you do what you just learned, right? So if you wanted to learn more about the Trading Trainer coaching package and what we have to offer besides what I just said right now, you could always visit tradingtrainer.com/coaching. In fact, I have the website right here up, so I bring it over. This is what you'll see, an explanation of those 3 different modalities of coaching that are included in our packages, as well as a questionnaire that you can fill out and have us, after you fill out that questionnaire, do a session with you, a strategy session with you about getting some quick tips on how to get from where you are in your investing journey to where you want to be, right? That's what our strategy sessions are all about. But just remember, it's not as easy as flicking a switch or buying a program. And if you keep going from marketing headline to marketing headline, you're going to get nowhere quick besides a lot of disappointment, and you might just run out of energy. And if we just take it for what it is, investing is a skill worth mastering, where your focus goes, your energy flows, and your results will show. We'll put in the work to learn the overall process, and even if we have access to accelerator tools, we know how to use those tools. We know how to maintain and manage those tools. That's going to be the best success. Thanks for having your time with me today, and if you liked this little discussion, please take a moment and hit like. In fact, even better than that, subscribe to this video channel today. Thanks, everybody.